Okay, Ron, this is for you. All right. Here we go. Yitain libos hayomim b'hu notam aderech shaloi hov tziva oisa lechas boy. V'lo some leiv lavados elam rois shalohim also itomid raktoi b'yomim. That yet I take to heart all those times that you transgressed, you didn't go, you're over, you didn't follow the way that Hashem commanded us to do. Even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu was always there for you, always doing good for you. So what's this? Part of your Kabbalah, I lost it. Right? The way we've been understanding it is that to make a Kabbalah also, it's not just enough to say I'm not going to do it again. You have to have some practical steps, some practical thoughts. And so one of them is, he's saying, that you have to take to heart how even though you were transgressing all the time, Hashem was still doing the good for you. Okay, and what? And therefore? Therefore what? What is that? How does that strengthen your Kabbalah? How does that... let's see what Matisyo says. When she's bayish, the Masha Kodesh Baruch Hu himshich laharif alav toivos, person should feel embarrassed. And this that Hashem continued doing good, right? It gives us life, gives us stability. The famous Parma Devira, that at the same time that we're doing the Avera, we're using Hashem's gifts, and He continues to give us the gifts, even though we're using it against us. Well, we look at things we shouldn't look at. So Hashem should say, okay, so I give you the gift of eyesight, so my eyesight. But no, He continues to give it to us, even though we're using it against His will. We should really be embarrassed. That's like an ultimate chutzpah. 1 to 10, it's like a 10. I give you the gift, and you go and you shoot. I give you a gun, you go and you shoot me with it. So he says, so what we're saying here, that I should fill myself with a feeling of busha. I guess if you're walking around with a feeling of busha, that's also something that's going to help you not do that error for now. Let's see. Not sure what that means in Hebrew. What those words mean. Mitinos usually means not a rash thing, doing something with thought, I guess. Okay, so that's what he said. That's how he's explaining. The third thing is that you connect to that feeling of busha. If you have that feeling of busha, it's also going to be something that's going to help you from repeating what you did. But Ravi, Shiyoshiv, excuse me.
No,
Yachsas Mashagoza. You have to give back what you stole. The Yimonam Lasses Averis. You have to withhold from doing Averis, that hold back. Yizar Meligram Nezek Laf Nivra. You care not to cause hurt, damage to anyone. When she calls of Kavol Yoshiv Rosha Gazela Yishalim. Kavol Yoshiv like a Chabula. You should return Russia. Gazela Yishalim. Benemar Im Oven Biyotcha Achikeu. If you have some room by you, distance it, get rid of it. And don't keep the wrongdoing with you. on the bottom, Piskelev, Kiosk, Kishtas, Tuchel Hermes Panech Nesha, Tianoki Mimum, like the Star Harvey, the Oid Panecha, Machmas Abush Bimumcha. You have to clean the slate. The whole thing is, I don't know if this is what he means, but I read about Rabbi Steinman that parents came. They came to him that their son, he was a young boy, was stealing. He was shoplifting. And they tried everything. They tried punishment. They tried reward. They couldn't break him of the habit. They were wits' ends. They didn't know what to do. And Rav Steinman, if I remember correctly, told them it's a real problem because there's a certain hana in doing it. And what he recommended, and ultimately worked very well, was he said, you have to take the boy by the hand, take him back, and he has to return what he took. And that feeling of busha will be so strong that it will counteract his want to shop. The busha. He brought a pasuk or a raya for something. I don't remember where, but it sounds like this. If I don't have to face this busha, that's a very strong tool. That's what Rabbi Kabbalah. There's no way I can find it again. It's in a big fat book. But maybe I'll browse through it. That's what it sounds like. That's what I was saying. You have to develop your feelings of busha, because that's a very big deterrent. Very big deterrent to the koach of busha. And here Hashem's doing good for me. I'm not and I'm paying the opposite. Okay, Hachamishi, Shitin Aliba is Dulas Habari Sprach Shahim is Dvorai, developing yourself. Tremendous awe of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's greatness that you rebelled against his words, Visrachik Mavadosai, and went away from serving Hashem. Uparak Merlova Esol Terasa, you threw off the bound to the Torah, Yachikas Nafshay, and rebuke yourself, there's also an aspect of which embarrass yourself that how could I have done that? Hashem Tigmul's dice. You're doing this to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? You won't fear me. That feeling of the greatness, strongly in touch with the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is obviously, it's like, how can I? Also sounds a little bit like Pusha. How could I do it? I mean, I would have thought that, and maybe it's part of this, it's like Shavisi Hashem and the summit. If you really live with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and that he's really in front of you, and that's also, it's one thing not to listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You could, when you could think, imagine that he's not looking. But if you're living with that, Hashem's looking. It's much harder than not to listen to. How do you do this? This is also part of Kabbalah Alahava. She's pointing regardless of where she hears before. I realize how terrible I did of an act. That's a strong reason not to do it again. I can bring that into my awareness. And here it seems like the emphasis, and I think the Shari Tshuva talks about that also. That on one hand, you have to be aware of the greatness of Averi you did. On the other hand, you have to be aware of who you didn't listen to, who you went against to. So that even if, quote unquote, in your mind is a small Avera, so he says, don't look at the size of the Avera, but look at the greatness. The one who commanded you. And it doesn't matter. It's one thing if your friend asks you not to do something and you do it. Another thing, if your parents ask you not to do something and you do the same thing, it's a much greater wrongdoing. And Kal v'chomer, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us not to do it. So even if what he said was small thing, still I rebelled. I went against his word. He was commanding me not to do it. So the greater my realization of who HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, that's going to be that. How can I do it? I'm embarrassed that I did it or so. How could I have done it? Certainly not going to do it again. V'chiches as for Mispaish for Zekadei Shaydei Lo Yomer Las Chetoy Shaharizeh Aderech Hayechidi is moved of Shal Yachsel Ma'asim Aroi. That's what Rav Nismatishio says. That's the only way that you could be assured you won't go back. Is if you live with this bucha, the door. What a terrible thing I've done. Okay, so this is the end of Perek Hay, that he broke up the four aspects, the four issues or whatever, the tshuva process, each one into 5 subcategories or 5 tools. And okay, and that's the Gidra Tshuva. Ikra Tshuva. Perek Shisha v'oifen ha'ori Hisaris ha'odem lachsa b'tshuva novais v'tor echem ha'ava garmon. How could I awaken myself to do tshuva? Shara Tshuva also, that's Perek Shar Sheni, if I remember correctly. Shar Sheni are things that motivate. Motivate me. One of the things, right, that I could so it says a little bit of what we just talked. I come to the understanding of how great HaKadosh Baruch Hu is. Maybe in Hativ Hashem, and I come to understand very well all the good Hashem does to me. I guess you got a chazer Shara Bechina a few times. I'll share with you tonight, but I davened Ma'ariv already, Brian. Sorry, I'm a little bit ahead of you. And it's funny, you can say the same words time and time again, and just sometimes with that Simon Nofel, it suddenly hits you. And we say Ma'ariv, Hashkiveinu Avinu. Hashkiveinu Avinu. The what? I mean, it's just like tefillah. It hit me so strongly that first of all, I daven to Hashem, then I should sleep well. He should put me to sleep l'shalom. I'm saying right, and should be l'shalom, and then I have to daven, and I should wake up. I don't know, like those words hit me so. Hit me tonight. That I ask Hashem to be Hashkiv. I say those words always, but like it hit me. Hashkivein Hashem l'shalom. Also chesed. You go to sleep and you sleep peacefully, and you have a good night's sleep, and et cetera, et cetera. Then you have to happen, and then Hashem should wake you up. Right? We say Hamapel Shena, right? And in the morning we say Hamaver Shena Me'enai, right? He puts me to sleep and he wakes me up, but we have to daven for that. It's a tremendous chesed. Who says you're going to get up the next morning? Who says you have to daven before you go to sleep? Right? It's such a given by us. You go to sleep, Adarabah, I'll be recharged, I'll get up. That's the whole point. And it's true. But on the other hand, you realize the chesed Hashem just there. I woke up. And then you say, Moidani, of course, right? So, again, Gurim Echadu, something to awaken me, to motivate me to tap me on the shoulder. When I develop in myself this knowledge, this recognition, whatever, how great and above, way beyond us. I mean, sometimes You have to be careful because you always have to think, don't think beyond things that we can't understand, right? And we really can't understand how Kadosh Baruch Hu. You think how like a supercomputer is that every single person is being hashkocha on him, and he's getting exactly what he's supposed to have. No one suffers too much. No one has more than he's supposed to. Every single person, and in relation to everybody else in the world, how could you do such a thing? Right? It's like it's beyond the charts. The more you realize, but you realize that it got to be right, that there is such a power. There's a Kodesh Baruch Hu, whatever it is. We can't in any way have hasaga of what a Kodesh Baruch Hu is, except that we know that he's beyond. Maybe that's how hasaga, that he's beyond the charts. So when that becomes clear to you, who maybe and you start appreciating, we had 2 or 3 years of lessons of that, with Corona, that we could breathe and we could live, right? Not forget it too quickly, right? The constant good that Hashem does to us. Constant good. I'm here the next minute. I'm here 2 minutes late. I'm here 3 minutes late. I'm breathing. Even though I must admit I huff and puff when I go upstairs, but I'm still breathing, right? I'm breathing. And appreciate that I'm obligated. I have an obligation to serve Hashem and keep His mitzvahs, and not to do what Hashem asked, so to speak, as payment, as of all this good Hashem does to me. Hashem gives me everything. So of course, that he's saying, someone who's awakened to do tshuva. When you realize, so how did I do wrong? How can I do wrong? From this, he's compared, he's similar to an Eved that ran away from his master. And then he turns around and he realizes how much good his master did him. It wasn't like the African Americans in the South, right? But he was treated well as a slave, like the Torah requires him yesterday to do. So he told me, and out of his recognition of that, he came back to his master willingly. He suddenly appreciated how good he had. In order to return and ask forgiveness that I ran away from serving you. This Eved that chose on his own, out of a certain clarity, and he realized, where's my success? That's also a reason that his master should forgive him, because he realizes that he really put it together and he's sorry. And I'll bring him close again. It's here. You didn't get a patch. You didn't get your surim on your own. You came back. It's like really a tshuva me'ava, whatever. It's a great level of tshuva. I came to realization. So come to me, I'll come right back. Toshuv Yisrael Num Hashem Elai Toshuv Toshuv in Toshuv Shikutzecha V'Panei V'Loi Sanud Nishpati Chayash LeBe'emes B'Mishot Tzlach Baruch Hu B'Goyim V'Yisalulu K'Loimim Toshuv Yisrael Returning HaTorah Klais on their own do tshuva if they should Kabbalah sign before they receive punishment. Elai Toshuv was a Kabbalah Chovos. Then to me you'll come back. I'll give you a second chance. Then you remove the shikutzim, and you won't move. You'll be strong in my avoid. You make a strong resolution in your heart. I'll give you your high standing again. Your Jews will be the top of the pinnacle. To the extent that Goyim will want to be like you. Uvayis halalu uvachayis baru. If he pairs zehem lehem Hashem shloish l'tzonim. Hashem gave 3 conditions. 1, v'ntosu sheklotzchem mipanai. Sanud. Gimel v'nishpata. Chay Hashem be'emes b'misha v'tzdak. Okay, he says on the bottom, the Rashi, and Targum Yonasan explained it a little different. That's why the Chovos haLevavos is spelling out his understanding of the pasuk. What will be both of that? It's Baruch Hu B'Kayim Uvayis Halal. You'll be praised. The Jews will be up on top, and everybody will look up to them. Okay. Continue on Tuesday night. How's it work?
Okay, good night, buddy.
So this is Sunday.
Today's Wednesday.
Monday's the
Tomorrow-
Yontif.
Oh, today's Wednesday. Oh, today's Thursday. Today's Wednesday. Oh, wow.
Tomorrow night is last night. Monday.
I can't believe it. Today's Wednesday. I thought today's Thursday for some reason. Oh, boy.
Because you're off Yom Yerushalayim and Memorial Day.
We can do Monday. Monday we could really do it for them. It'll be Monday night for them. They'll be on the.
No, we email Yaakov for Brian. Can't do it on Monday. All right, so tomorrow
On
night.
Tuesday.
Lena, tomorrow night. I don't know why I thought tomorrow's Erev Shabbos. I had all kind of plans already. In fact, I just sent a message to somebody that I can't send them information until after Shavuos because I don't work tomorrow. Maybe. Oh man, I wonder what he's thinking. 3-day work week. Not bad. Okay. Have a good